there's a lot of information and a lot of opinion as it relates to appearance. And, research has it that when a person feels that he or she looks good, then they feel good. Well, that does not only apply to people, it applies to places and things also. So I purport that as it relates to our community, if it looks good, then people will feel good about it and they will want to come here and to visit. So I start to say it's quiet as it's kept, but a lot of people know this. But we have an organization in our community that's responsible for helping our community to look good. And that's Keep Macon Bibb Beautiful Commission. And I'm also happy, and I'm not purporting, I'm telling you that they have a new director in the person of Miss Asha Ellen. And I'm so happy to have her as my guest today because she can do the job and she's going to help Macon Bibb County to look good. This is a call to action.
A call to action.
I'm your host, Alex Haversham. And as I said today, my host is Miss Asha. And it took me a while to pronounce it right. I used to call Asha, Aisha, and all those other things. But she finally corrected me one day and said, Mr. Haversham, it's Asha. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank
for the
you.
new position. I know that you will do a phenomenal job. And I'm happy because I know how you work and what it means to you and how you're action and results oriented. And I know how, those qualities in you is going to help our community by giving it a better appearance and making people feel better about their neighborhoods, etc. Very quickly, I just wanted to mention that I saw you, I guess, on Facebook where you and the mayor or somebody were out in a neighborhood cleaning up and picking stuff up. And I hope that motivates, and I know you're going to love me for saying this, but I hope that also motivates everybody else. That's to kind of take responsibility for their community. That's
Absolutely.
very important. So I know you're going to do a phenomenal job. So just start out by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, thank you for that introduction. As you stated, I'm Asha Ellen, and I am the new executive director for Keep Macon Bibb Beautiful. Been in that role now since April 18th. It seems like it's been longer, but since April 18th. But I am a Maconite, not born in Macon, but definitely raised in Macon. My family moved here in 1980, so without telling my age, though, I've been here for quite some time. So grew up in South Macon and went to what was then Malsey Pie Elementary School, from Malsey Pie to Ballard, what was Ballard B Middle School, and then on to Southwest High School, where I graduated from. And then went off to college, went to Georgia Southern University, and came back home to Macon, and this is where I have been my entire career. Wasn't necessarily the plan right out of college. I thought it was going to be a pit stop, but God had other plans, and I'm so glad He did, and I'm so glad I was obedient.
Yeah, that is so outstanding. So talk a little bit. I mean, although this is a new position for you, and now what's the title of your position?
I'm the executive director.
Okay, you're the executive director, but you've had other jobs. Talk a little bit about the other jobs, just to show, that you've got experience, and then people are doing the right thing, and they did the right thing by naming you to this position. And I feel comfortable in expecting great things out of KMBBC.
Okay, well, just to give a brief overview as far as my career, like I said, I graduated from Georgia Southern University with a bachelor's in business administration with an emphasis in marketing. My career actually began, I started off many years ago, gosh, now over 30 years ago now, actually in corporate America. So I worked for Coca-Cola, which was back then the Atlanta Coca-Cola Bottling Company at the Macon Sales Center for about 10 plus years. after I left. A lot of people maybe don't realize that, but yeah, that was like really the introduction of my career in Macon back in the mid to late 90s. So I spent about 10, 11 years with Coca-Cola here in Macon, and also the Atlanta division for about 11 years. And then I worked for numerous other consumer product goods companies in various roles, from account manager, business development manager, so all in sales related roles. But I got my master's from Georgia College, and instead of pursuing an MBA, I decided to pursue an MPA, a Master's in Public Administration. And from that's where my interest as far as in the nonprofit sector came about. So after spending 20 years in corporate America, I transitioned to the nonprofit sector, and I worked for an organization by the name of LifeLink of Georgia. Spent some time with LifeLink, was there for a few years, and then moved over to the DA's office. That introduced me to the public sector. I worked under Anita Howard as her Director of Outreach, Engagement, and Diversity. And then that was right prior to this role. And then this opportunity came about as for the executive director's position with Keep Macon Bibb Beautiful. And here I am. So I joke with someone, I said, I basically worked in every sector, from the private sector and corporate America to the nonprofit sector, to the public sector, back into the nonprofit sector again. So has just definitely been an exciting and very rewarding 30+ year career that I have had, and all right here in Macon, Middle Georgia.
Oh, that's so outstanding. This is a call to action. I'm your host.
Call to action.
Yes, ma'am. Interviewing Miss Asha Ellen, who is the executive director of Keep Macon Bibb Beautiful Commission, Macon Bibb County Beautiful Commission, and it's just what it says. You know, we could, but I'm gonna add another verb to it. I want to say make and keep, because, some of the areas, maybe are not as beautiful as you would like to make them. And there are areas that are beautiful that you want to keep them. So talk a little bit, just give the whole overview of your job and your initiatives and what kind of help you need. Just talk about the KMBBC and where you would like to see it go, and what it would take for you to get it there.
Okay. Well, I want to give a little quick history also just on my relationship with Kate. And it's just Keep Macon Bibb Beautiful. We're no longer a commission, we're a board. So it's Keep Macon Bibb Beautiful. But no, the C has dropped as far as the commission part of it. That happened a couple of years ago. So it wouldn't be any confusion when we went from to the consolidated government. And we have commissioners, so that wouldn't be confusing. So now it's just KMBB minus the C now. So, but just to give some history, so when Mayor Lester Miller took office, and one of his initiatives was Clean Streets Matter. I actually at the time was with the DA's office, but when the mayor and Keep Macon Bibb Beautiful partnered and start doing the countywide cleanups, in my role as the Director of Outreach, Engagement, and Diversity at the DA's office, I was responsible as far as for finding various community organizations for our office to connect with and partner with. And so when the cleanup, the first countywide cleanup happened back in April, I believe that was, of 2021, actually started up a team in the DA's office, and we went out, and our area that we cleaned was the Riverwalk, the Okmulgee River Park. And so from there, that's where my introduction to Clean Streets Matters came about. And every time there was a countywide cleanup, I made sure that we had a team, our office had a team, and we expanded and got bigger and bigger. And then out of the blue, I received a call from the former executive director that the mayor had recommended me to serve on the Keep Macon Bibb Beautiful board. And so that was around September of 2021. So I served on the board, and then the executive director position came about, and here I am. And so for those who may not be familiar with Keep Macon Bibb Beautiful, our primary focus areas is, of course, number one, litter reduction, but also recycling and beautification. And we do all those things through various ways, through, of course, the community cleanups, like I just mentioned, and organizations, individuals, neighborhood associations, fraternities, sororities, schools. Anybody can coordinate at any time a community cleanup. And that cleanup may be in your neighborhood, or you may pick a local park. Wherever individuals choose to, they can coordinate, get volunteers, and coordinate and do cleanups. But we also take it a step further by going into education is just key. I don't care what it is you do. Education is key. And so we go into the school system. I was just at Burdell Hunt a couple of weeks ago, talking with young people and educating them about, why we shouldn't litter, and also educating them about ways we can also help through recycling. And even with those elementary school age students, I just asked them the question of how do they feel when they see litter or trash in their communities as they're walking to and from school. And even these young kids who, were, 8, 9, 10 years old, some of them said it makes them sad. Some of them said it makes them angry. And so even these babies even know, as far as the psychological effect, that when we're in our neighborhoods and our community and it's not clean, how it makes us feel. And so I don't think people think about it from a mental health standpoint. So we go into the schools and educate. We just had an actual art and essay contest where not just the public schools, but also the private and the charter schools were able to participate. Students received some great prizes, some great monetary prizes, those who were awarded for their work. And so, like I said, education is key, regardless of whether it's cleaning up, or recycling or beautification. We find a way to incorporate education, because I know it sounds cliche, but our children really are our future. And sometimes we as adults have to learn from our kids. And so every time when I talk to students about littering, and I tell them, okay, now go home. Now, if you see your parents littering, now do it respectfully, but just say, Mom, Dad, we should not be littering because we want to keep our community clean. And so, those are some of the things that we're doing, getting into the schools. But I also want to expand into our churches, our industries, getting to some of these major corporations who we have developed partnerships with several. And so just wanting to expand that, because people don't also realize that if we don't have a clean community, why would new industries and businesses want to come to a nasty community? It's unfortunately, it's a reflection on our community when it's full of trash and people are illegally dumping. And so I definitely appreciate the mayor, his Clean Streets Matter initiative. It expands to not just litter, but also with the blighted homes and things such as that nature, because all of that, it ties in. There's a correlation between all of these things with crime. And so, I'm excited to be a part of such a dynamic initiative. I'm excited about my new role, and I've always loved, and have always for years worked in my community. And so this gives me an opportunity to continue the work that I've been doing voluntarily for the last 20 years or so.
Okay, let's take a minute to kind of emphasize the 3 areas. And then the reason we're going to do that is because we want to be able to let people know who may be interested in recycling or cleaning up education, the process, because say, for example, if there's somebody in a neighborhood, say, well, that street next door, the alley behind me, or the street across the street, that's a good one, the street across the street, the street across the street needs cleaning up. So let's talk about processes, so we can get people activated and generated and motivated, because it takes a village. It takes everybody. Can you imagine what would happen if everybody in every neighborhood throughout the community was conscientious about the need for a clean street. So just talk about the three areas. And I want you to reemphasize, if you would, the relationship between crime and mental illness and our mental health, and keep KMBB, because a
Okay,
lot of people don't realize that there is a connection.
it
And
is.
that's why it's absolutely phenomenal that the mayor is getting rid of a lot of these blighted houses, blighted homes, because there is a lot of activity that goes on in there. So let's just kind of walk through all of those areas
Okay.
in which KMBB is involved, and then talk about what a person should do if they want to volunteer, if they want to initiate a project, if they want to go and talk to some people from an educational perspective, because I know that you'll take all the support you can get.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let me go back to the beginning part as far as what you asked, as far as because something that I also neglected to mention, so I'm glad you asked that question. We cannot do this alone, and we definitely rely on our local governmental agencies through Macon Bibb to help as far as our cleanup initiatives successful through our, whether that's with solid waste, whether that's with public works, code enforcement, parks and beautification. In my role, I actually had an opportunity to meet with most of the directors of those various departments because they are key. But of course, they cannot do it alone, and we cannot rely on just our local government to do it alone. We need the help of our Macon Nights. It's a saying, many hands make little work. And so if we can get many hands involved through volunteering, even if it's just a block on your street, even if it's just in front of your house. I tell individuals, like I told the students at the school I attended, just because you didn't mess it up, that doesn't mean that you're not responsible to help clean it up. And so if somebody else drops something and if they don't clean it up and you walk past it, you know what, pick it up and dispose of it of where it needs to go. But as far as the community collaboration, definitely, and individuals have been volunteering, organizations have been getting together to do cleanups. A lot of people sign up during the quarterly community cleanups that the mayor holds through the Clean Streets Matter initiative. But what I tell individuals is you don't have to wait until those quarterly cleanups. You can do a cleanup at any time. I was with a group on Saturday, the Historic Vineville Neighborhood Association, and we went out and just cleaned, a couple of blocks just right there on Vineville Avenue. There's cleanups coming up, in the weeks to come that I'm working with a group in Fort Hill, an organization called Grow, that organization, the organizer of that is going to do a couple of cleanups back-to-back Saturdays in East Macon. There have been cleanups in Pleasant Hill throughout our community. I just don't, I just want to name those few. Some areas, as we know, need a little bit more TLC than others. There is a huge problem in Macon Bibb with illegal dumping. Particularly I'm seeing a lot as far as with tires, but also individuals dumping old furniture and household, products, just dumping, going into other people's neighborhoods and communities and dumping. I'm hoping though, now that with the convenience center that is downtown, that's open 7 days a week, that individuals will take advantage. If you already got the stuff loaded up, then go ahead and just take it down downtown and properly dispose of it. Let's not trash our neighborhoods, because once again, there are certain areas that are in more dire straits than others. And to be honest, those areas tend to be sometimes our low income, high poverty areas that also are inflicted by high crime as well. And so when we don't keep up with where we live, sometimes others may think, oh, if they don't care, why should I care? So they're gonna not care about their neighborhood, then I'm gonna just dump trash or whatever it is that because the people who are dumping, they're trying to clean up where they are and they're taking it elsewhere and dumping it. And so we got to change the mindset of those individuals who are illegally dumping, because you do have a place where you can go dispose of that. But in those communities that may not be as well kept, how do we change that mindset? What causes you to want to keep where you reside nasty and dirty? And so that goes back into, sometimes mental health could play a part in that. It definitely, through my conversation with those young students, it made them, to see that, it made them sad. Some of them, it made them angry. So just imagine, as an 8-year-old, you're walking past this every day. And then we may wonder why that child may go to school and act up. But it's all those emotions that's being built up, where they don't know how to understand necessarily why they're feeling that way, but they're feeling that way. And, a part of that could be, as far as the blight, the trash on our streets, because it for me, it makes me depressed when I ride by and I see, certain areas of my community that are not kept up. I know how it makes me feel. So I can only imagine, as far as the mindset, or what it does to someone who is waking up day in and day out, having to experience that.
Well, it's very important that people understand about the convenience center. I think it's criminal for anybody to go and dump in somebody else's neighborhood. And I really, I repeat what you said, they don't dump it in their yard, so why go and dump it in somebody else's yard? But I think it's a great gesture that is a location, that if you got tires or refrigerators or stoves or heaters, or old furniture, what have you.
Even everyday trash.
Yeah.
Just even your everyday trash. Some families are large families, and so, if you have a large family, your trash may accumulate before it's time for your weekly trash pickup. So, even with regular trash, it can be taken to the convenience center.
Now tell them where it is.
It is on, I knew you were gonna ask me that. It's on, I know it's on 11th Street.
Well, it's 11th Street, and it's down in that area. So
yes, it's on
scroll
down in that area.
We'll scroll the address on the screen, so it's no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know they are. Yeah, and they are open 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I think their hours are like 8 to 4, 8:30 to 4. Probably maybe a good person to have on soon will be Maurice Jackson, who is the director with solid waste, because he can really go into the details as far as about the convenience center, because it falls under solid waste. But like I said, they're open 7 days a week. Like I said, I think from 8 to 4, 8:30 to 4.
Yeah. Well, we got two other things we got probably almost running out of time.
Okay.
So talk a little bit about recycling, but let's not end the interview without telling people how they may contact you and how they'll be able to find more information.
Okay.
As it relates to what you do. Talk a little bit about recycling for about a minute.
Okay, I'm gonna do 30 seconds on recycling, but the goal of recycling, of course, is to reduce the waste in our landfill. So we have a lot of if you think about now, if you think about 30 years ago, we didn't have all these plastic containers, plastic bottles, and things that we have now. And so all that plastic, when it's going into our landfills, it's overflowing our landfills. So even if we just recycled those plastic bottles, the water bottles, those Coca-Cola bottles, it will help. It will make a huge difference as far as our landfills. And we go into the school systems, particularly with the elementary school, and we do an educational lesson, a little fun game about recycling and what can and cannot be recycled. So that's just briefly on recycling. And then I want to touch briefly also on beautification, because right now it's an exciting project that I'm working on with the Fort Hill East Macon Neighborhood Association, where I have a couple of churches, Lizzie Burrell and Union, who are buying cherry blossom trees that were left over from the festival. And they're giving them to individuals, and they'll be planted throughout the Fort Hill community. So we're in the process of doing that to beautify and turn Fort Hill pink. So more details later on in the future will come on that.
Okay, now what's the process of getting in touch with you as it relates to the website? For example, a lot of people don't think about it, and I'm glad you said that these water bottles are recyclable, and you'll be doing yourself, your community, and the earth a favor by doing that. So how can one find out more information about your initiatives, how to contact you, and maybe what products are recyclable and which products are not?
Okay, I just say, because right now we're in the process of revamping the website. So I'll just give my direct number. It's 478-330-7054. That's 478-330-7054. Anyone can give me a call if you want to schedule a community cleanup. If you want me or a member of the board to come out and speak to your school, your social civic organization, your fraternity, sorority, whatever your organization may be, and we can, go more in detail about who we are and what we do.
That is so outstanding. This is a call to action.
A call to action.
I'm your host, Alex Havisham. I'm having interviewed Miss Asha Ellen, who is the Executive Director of Keep Macon Bibb Beautiful, not commission, Keep Macon Bibb Beautiful. And you've done such a phenomenal job. And look, the role that you're in is so important to our community. It helps attract industries. It helps to reduce crime. It helps to improve mental health. It helps to educate our community. It helps to keep our earth safe for people who gonna come, after we are here, and we have that obligation. So, I mean, this is very important. What I want you to do, I'm gonna do this for you. You're gonna love me for this. I want everybody to make themselves a committee of one and just be conscientious about the health and cleanliness of our community and the beautification and recycling. And if you were to do that, you would be glad you did. This is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex Havisham. Thank you so much, Miss Executive Director. Have a great day.
www.maconblackpages.com.
Get ready, Central Georgia.
This is Alex Havisham, publisher of the Macon, Middle Georgia Black Pages. I'm happy to inform the community, particularly business owners, that we're working on a new edition of the Macon, Middle Georgia Black Pages and Resource Guide.
Coming soon.
So call today. You need to be a part of this.
Your resource guide to identify Black-owned businesses throughout Central Georgia.
You either get your free listing and or your ad in the upcoming edition.
We try to make it very easy through our book, electronic and digital formats, and social media. Reserve your ad space today.
Call 478-464-0074.
Visit our website at maconblackpages.com.
You cannot afford not to advertise.
Download the app.
The new Macon, Middle Georgia Black Pages and Resource Guide is on the way.
Coming soon.